Morning everybody, welcome back to the channel. Dan here from Headwaters Kayaks, and welcome to Northwest Arkansas. This is going to be my paddle today, my commute to work, if you will. I'm here visiting Eddyline Kayaks, and I'm going to be paddling around Northwest Arkansas a bit, checking out some different spots, but I figured I would start right in my own backyard. There's my Sandpiper, there's the river, and Eddyline's office is about 100 yards away. I have a Sandpiper on the car, and I've got about an hour to kill. So I'm gonna go for a paddle. I'm gonna review the Sandpiper 120 because I realized I've never done that on the channel. And yeah, just see what we can get into. Let's go check it out. So fun fact is the Sandpiper's actually been in the Eddyline line since 1982 is when the first Sandpiper was made. It's gone through several iterations since then, and this is our most current version. This is a 2024 Sandpiper 12. The cockpit's grown by leaps and bounds. It was always a wide, stable wreck boat, but it had a small, narrow cockpit in the beginning. And now you can see it's just long, open, easy to get in and out of, easy to bring your dog with you. And most importantly, it's only 37 pounds, so easy to car top. Sandpiper 12, it's got the retractable handles on either side, the bungee. It's got this little metal ring, it's a D-ring. You can actually put a lasso lock all through there, which is kind of cool if you need to lock it to your car. Front hatch, Tupperware style hatches that are really easy to button on. Just pop that down. Again, with the long, big, open cockpit. I do have a skirt for this, which I might try today because it's a little chilly. Seat on here is fairly wide, open. It's got an adjustable backrest. This is the all the way low position, and I believe it has, let's see, yeah, 3 different points of adjustment if you wanted to raise that up. It's important to note that it has 2 bulkheads. So that's dry storage, but more importantly, it's also flotation. So if I were to capsize this boat, I might get water in the cockpit, but the boat's gonna stay high and dry. I'll be able to flip it back over and get back in, which is so important for safety, especially if you're paddling far away from shore. In the back, you'll notice more safety features. It's got the cross pattern bungee with doubled bungee on the side. So if you wanted to put a paddle in there and use a paddle float to do rescues, you can do that on this boat. We got another hatch in the back and another D-ring. Unfortunately, it's got a broken bungee there, but it's all right. This is actually the owner of Eddyline's kayak personal boat. He had it down here in Arkansas and he's letting me use it. So thanks, Scott. So this is the skirt I'm gonna use. I've actually never paddled this boat with the skirt, but it is a little breezy and cool today. So I figured might as well give it a try. It's nice to be able to keep the wind and the water off your legs. And the thing I like about the Sandpiper skirt, it's got a nice zipper opening and a Velcro, so really easy to get in and out. I don't actually have to put the skirt on. I'm so stoked on that. That's my room. I've been overlooking this. It's not a very big piece of water, but every morning I sit out and I drink my coffee and I'm like, I want to go paddle there. So why not? Here we go. This is great. I don't think I'll be hitting that today though. Oh, so the paddle I got is crazy long. It's this old Eddyline Swift paddle. They quit making this years ago, so it's kind of a collector's item. And it was brand new. Just part of the leftovers they had when they moved here from Washington. It's not as easy as I expected that to be, honestly. Again, first time using this skirt. I thought with the zipper it'd be easier to get in and out, but I might leave that part out. And it's so pretty here. We just came from Madison, Wisconsin. Not to say it wasn't pretty there, but it was like 36 during the day. So to be here where it's, I don't know, in the 60s, gorgeous. A little overcast, but not bad. Woohoo! So the Sandpiper 120, you guys, is really, really stable. Always for reference, my size is 6'2", 210 pounds. I'm proud to say I'm down a little bit. Cutting out beer and trying to ride my mountain bike and paddle as much as possible. Been alcohol free now for about 1.5 years, and it's been great. Cutting that out's really really helped me out, kind of re-energized me and give me a lot of mental clarity. It's been awesome. The secondary stability on this kayak's huge. You'll always hear me talk about primary stability. and secondary stability. All Eddylines have a shallow V-shaped hull, which means they track really well, but they have a little bit light primary and a really solid secondary. So even though it's a short boat, even though it's a recreational boat, I can still edge it and drive it just by shifting my weight to the hips. I can lean this thing all the way till the water comes in the cockpit and it doesn't feel like it wants to go over. And when I'm testing stability, I want you to pay attention to what goes on with my paddle, because I have a lot of people that I see on the water that are testing their stability, and they give it one of these or they give it one of these. What I do is I always have my blade flat to the surface of the water, so if I need to push down, I can push on that paddle and sweep it forward. That's just a low brace. So notice my elbows go up, boom, low brace position. I'm leaning, my paddle's skimming the surface of the water, and if I start to go down, I can push on that paddle, drop my head towards the water, bring myself back up. You don't want to be here, because then your water paddle just goes, whoop, falls right in the water. Flat blades, pushing on the water. Really great stability. I paddle the 130 a lot because that's sort of my boat for Dax and I. I guess I don't know if I've announced it on the channel. Oh God, I'm gonna cry. We had to put Dax down just last week, so it's kind of been it's been an emotional few weeks. I didn't think I was gonna cry. I thought it was kind of like, I thought I was kind of past it. Anyway, the Sandpiper's been my dog boat. I've been paddling the 130 with Dax or with Luna. I have paddled the 120 with Luna too. She's 40-pound, little street dog. It definitely supports my weight just fine. It does sit fairly low in the water with me and a dog in here, but at 220 pounds or 210 pounds with all my gear, probably 220, it's just right. Plenty of leg room. I actually have 2 more notches, so even with the 34-inch inseam, I got room to move. So if you're, 6'4", but you only weigh 180 pounds, you'll still fit in this boat just fine. If you're bigger though, it might be worth checking out the Sandpiper 130, because that is really a sweet boat. Like all Eddylines, it glides. When you put the paddle in the water and you want to accelerate, it goes. It doesn't have a real bulbous bow like some other thermoform kayaks. They're a little bit more bulbous. It has that knifey bow, just like the Skylark, just like the Sitka series. So even though it's wrecked boat, it still glides through the water really nice. Man, this is so cool. There's got a really neat old downtown. They've got like tap rooms, restaurants, coffee shops. All the old buildings have kind of been fixed up. There's a college just right up here. We'll paddle right by it. And so that brings a lot of, I think, young folks. These little fountains, I don't want to get that wet yet. Anyway, a lot of young folks, a lot of young energy. And it's just up the way. It's like 20-30 minutes from Bentonville. So you get a lot of that tourism going on here too. But yet it still has a total small town vibe. I think this town is somewhere in the neighborhood of 20,000. Don't quote me on that, but it's not a huge town. The blooms are just starting to come in. When I left California, it was still pouring rain. And I get the feeling when I come home, it's supposed to be 70 and sunny. We're gonna be in bloom as well. I really dig the rock formations here. They're completely different than home. What do you say we set up a little obstacle course with these pillars? Just try to weave in and out and see how maneuverable this boat is. Again, it has quite a bit of keel and it has that deep V, so it does track pretty well. And when you want to maneuver it, it's only 12 feet, so it'll still spin around. And if you initiate with a little bit of that body English, then you can really get it to come to life. And if you are a progressing paddler, I really suggest checking out that Kayaking 102 video I did. I talk a lot about strokes where I push with my feet, drive with my feet, draw strokes to help maneuver the kayak. All that kind of stuff is really going to help your kayak come to life and maybe allow you to paddle a little longer, a little more efficient boat, but still keep that maneuverability. All right, here we go. Let's try it. Edge, sweep. I'm going to give it a stern draw, another one. Bow draw. These are pretty tight in here. Nice. You see how I turn those draw strokes, turn it into a forward stroke, and then I actually let it hang and I turn it into a little stern draw. So draw stroke you can do anywhere. You can do it up at the bow and it's going to pull your bow, right? If I do it at the side of my boat, it's going to pull me just straight sideways, like that. And then lastly, if I do it towards the stern of my boat, I put the paddle in and I draw towards the stern, it's going to make the stern come around. A really useful tool to have in your toolbox, especially when you're paddling in tight quarters. You don't want to kill your speed, you want to keep the kayak moving, but you need to change direction. Draw strokes, that's where it's at. Again, I touch on all this, and we'll watch Kayaking 101 first if you're new to it, or if you've already seen that and you're ready to progress. Kayaking 102 is the spot for you. Woohoo! I'll go ahead and link those videos up at the end so you guys have them for reference. So really, I'm just paddling. It's kind of like an irrigation canal. I'm sure it's a lot of storm water, but it's really cool. And I just love the fact that it's literally steps away from Eddyline's new office. I always just love to adventure close to home, and I bet there's hardly anybody that paddles out here. That always speaks to me. Of course, I'm gonna have that jackhammer for the rest of this paddle. Sorry about that. Oh, it's so cool. Little stalagmites hanging down. Interesting. Like a little calcium deposits dripping down. It'd be cool if there was a put in or an exit over here too, because I know there's a really good coffee shop right here, but there's no other real access besides where I put in. And it's only, I mean, back and forth, maybe a half mile. You've heard me say it before, and I'll say it again. It's the adventure that's in your own backyard is sometimes the best because it's easy. And if it's easy to do, you'll do it, right? Just like if a kayak's easy to load, you'll do it. I found that when I lived in Lodi. I moved from Redding, where I live now, when I was younger, and I moved down to Lodi. And Redding's got outdoor activities galore. It's everywhere. And, you know, just unlimited adventure as far and as hard as you want to go. When I moved back to Lodi, there's a lot more private land, a lot more flat, just very limited in the outdoors. But we had the river, and it was right down the street. And I remember growing up there and just thinking it was kind of a lame place. And I never really appreciated it and enjoyed it till I was an adult. And I had so many amazing adventures out there. I was out there all the time, and it truly made me appreciate the adventure that I had close to home. And taught me that you don't have to go far or hardcore in order to have a good time, in order to have that reset. It's about getting out in nature, it's about being in your community, enjoying the outdoors, and it's a complete reset. At least for me. Your results may vary, but I doubt it. I'm sure you'll love it too. So the seat in this is pretty comfortable. The pan is kind of flat, to be honest with you. Like, you know, I feel like my butt would get sore on it after a few hours, but I also feel like it's stable enough that if I wanted to, I could add another pad. The backrest is super nice. It's got kind of that perforated mesh with the foam underneath, and that feels really good. I have it in the middle position so I could go up a little bit if I want, but I'm big on engaging good posture. I like the backrest there to help me sit forward, engage good posture. So I think about picking up my hips, rotating my pelvis back in that seat, so I'm nice and upright, I can rotate, and then adjusting the foot pedals back to me. Let this big rig go by. Urban paddling. And adjusting those foot pedals up to me so I can now engage good posture. I can push in with my feet and have a nice supported position. I'm not laying back on this seat. If I did that, it would be uncomfortable. I equate the Sandpiper to maybe like a hybrid comfort bike. Something that's really comfortable to be in, easy to be in, stable, but yet still has enough gears to get you there. You know, it still has enough speed and enough glide that if you're paddling this with a paddling club with other 12, 14-foot boats, you're not gonna feel too undergunned like you would in maybe like a 10-foot recreational kayak. It still has that Eddyline glide and efficiency. It doesn't take much effort to get it up to speed or to keep it going. The other thing that's worth mentioning about the Sandpiper is the price. I believe it's going for around, why am I drawing a blank? And we just came from the Madison show, Canoeacopia, and a lot of the other poly recreational open cockpits like the Pungo, they're up to like 1,100-1,200 bucks for a very similar boat, just not the paddling quality. So honestly, with the values getting closer and closer, it's like more and more reason to go ahead and splurge and get an Eddyline, because it's almost, well, I don't want to say quite half the way, but definitely a third less. If this boat's 37 pounds, I think a Pungo, don't quote me on it, but it's around, I don't know, 55 pounds. A lot of those polyethylene boats are 50 to 60 pounds. So it's significant when you're putting it up on top of your car. I've always been an Eddyline fan. I will continue to be an Eddyline fan. I've been selling these boats when I had my shop for over 15 years. Tom and Lisa, when I opened my shop, sorry, it's also trash. Tom and Lisa, the original owners of Eddyline, always treated me like family. When I opened my shop, they like welcomed me in, gave me a factory tour, just really made me feel like I was part of the family right from the get-go. If I ever had questions, I could call Tom. If I had design ideas, he would always welcome a phone call from me, and I'd be like, hey Tom, I really think we should do this, this, and this, or people are asking for this. And it was always a receptive audience, and it continues to be that way. I've been hanging out with Scott, the new owner. I think he bought him out maybe 7 years ago. It's been the same. He's like, Dan, what don't you like? I'm like, well, the seat needs to be a little updated. He's like, I know we need to work on the seat. I appreciate that feedback. We're working on it. There's just such a, we want to be better. We want to make the best thermoform kayaks. We want to stay in the lead. We want to have the infrastructure in place to be successful for the long haul. Just a brand I'm really excited to be aligned with, and a brand that I don't hesitate to recommend. Look at the side profile of it. It's wide, it's shallow, it's kind of flat, carries the width way far in the bow and the stern. So very, very stable boat, but also a boat that takes a load, because when a boat has width and chine to it, as you push it down in the water, it's harder to get it to sink as opposed to a boat that's narrower with a deeper V. So one of the comments that came up a bunch at the show was the durability of thermoform kayaks, and Eddyline in particular. And people are like, oh, I can never have one of those. Oh, I would break that thing. Oh, I run into rocks. I could never have an Eddyline. And I'm here to tell you that unless you're wearing a helmet and running whitewater, you're not gonna break an Eddyline. I mean, maybe if you dropped it off your car, but it actually has a really great glance and blow impact. So if you run over a rock, or like over here, there was a bunch of riprap in the water that I didn't see, it was real shallow. I glided right over the top of it, and it doesn't matter. This boat is the owner's boat. I'm gonna show you the hull, because it's actually seeing quite a bit of love. It's all dirty. See if this does it any justice at all. See all those scuffs and scratches? Little dings. So it's actually a very hard material that'll take a really good bounce. And most importantly, it is repairable. So worst case scenario, you do drop it off your car, it takes a hard bounce. You can still repair this. You can drill out the ends of the crack, lay fiberglass on the inside, use methyl methacrylate glue to glue that back down, and it's going to be just as strong as when you did it. I'm going to just show you this. Sorry, Scott, but I don't think you'll mind. This is going to make everyone cringe. It doesn't matter. You're not going to get a crack from something like that, or from dragging it. It's not a problem. Well, that didn't go as planned. Hopefully it goes to the waterfall. I gotta go get this boat back. We got a little bit of a breeze. I think it's gonna take it right here to the waterfall. Again, I hate to abuse a boat, because that is definitely a little bit abusive, but I really want to prove a point, because I feel like thermoform gets a bad rap because people are used to fiberglass boats that have gel coat and that crack. But Eddyline's material, they call it Carbon Light 2000, is still plastic, so you can definitely use it like a kayak, you know? It's not gonna beat the thing up. Will you scratch your kayak doing stuff like this? Yes. Will you crack your kayak doing stuff like this? No. All right, let's go ahead and just look at the bottom now. Oh, there you go. There's a little peel. This is a great example. This is perfect. It doesn't, you guys can't even see it though. The difference between rotomolded plastic fiber to do that same thing is it's a lot softer plastic. Think of a cheese grater. If you have a real soft block of cheese, the cheese grater is just gonna peel right across it, right? Rotomolded polyethylene is like a softer cheese. It cheese grades, you're gonna lose more material. So the ends where you're dragging it is gonna cheese grade faster. Whereas ABS is a lot denser, a lot firmer material. So I might still get little peels of plastic, but they're gonna be a lot smaller. So for that glance and blow kind of impact, scratching kind of impact, it's actually a better material. Anyway, Scott, sorry about your boat, but I know where you can find another one. I'm gonna leave it there for you guys. I hope that helps with the Sandpiper 12 review. Definitely a cool kayak, definitely one that we're happy to have in the lineup. Been in the lineup since 1982 and it's had several iterations. Hopefully it stays in the lineup and that they continue to update it. Eddyline, if you're listening to this, which I know you are, let's do something about the seat. I know that there's better seats out there. I think that may be one of the things that holds this kayak back. If somebody's coming from a Pungo with that big old squishy phase 3 seat, this one's a little bit more basic. But if you're in the market, I wouldn't hesitate for a second recommending this boat. Sit in it, make sure it's comfortable for you. If you can, give it a test paddle, but I don't think you'll regret it. Okay, guys, if you have any more questions, let me know. I'm gonna do some more paddling here. I'm gonna go hit Lincoln Lake today, which is kind of like a classic Ozark Mountain, big cliffs and bluffs. And then tomorrow I'll be floating the Illinois River with a gentleman from the Illinois River watershed. So I'm really enjoying my time here in Arkansas, looking forward to seeing more of it, and excited that Eddyline has a new home and a new place for me to come visit and play in boats. Until next time, you guys, this is Dan wishing you happy paddling. We'll see you on the next one.